Hello, everyone. Well, it's another week, and oh boy, the coronation is coming. Coronation, isn't that exciting? Well, not everybody is so pleased. Why is not everyone so pleased? Well, I'll be covering that in this video. Um, Coronation of King Charles the Third. I know it's the third because I remember King Charles II was back in 1665. King Charles II. Both the King Charleses um, met with an untimely demise, but I don't remember. But better luck this time for King Charles III. And all I have to say is that there's some people that aren't thrilled about the idea of King Charles being coronated because they um, they resent the monarchy, and some of them it's because they love Diana so much in the way the monarchy treated Diana before she died. And let's face it, Diana died under some very unusual circumstances. Some would say even suspicious circumstances. The death of Diana was very suspicious because who goes um, 200 miles per hour in a tunnel under the river and crashes into a wall? Who does that? An underwater um, tunnel and crashes into a wall and goes up in flames. That sounds very suspicious. And Dodi Al-Fayed was with her when she died, and he died too, I believe, and was very suspicious circumstances surrounding Diana's death. But that casts a pall upon the coronation of King Charles III because he preferred Camilla and he left Diana for Camilla, and now she's going to be queen. So what happened to Diana? Well, she may have died under suspicious circumstances so that King Charles could be pure. He could be pure and he could have his queen Camilla even though she was his mistress. And so I'm not saying the royal family can't marry for love or that they shouldn't marry for love, but boy oh boy, they did Charles mess up big time marrying Princess Diana when he was in love with Camilla. He didn't like Princess Diana very much. And I loved Princess Diana. I thought she was wonderful. I thought she was the best person ever, and I was very, very saddened by her death. I burned a candle for her. And when I burned a candle for her, a skunk came up onto my porch. And the skunk and I eyeballed each other. And I stood up and stood at attention staring down the skunk. And finally the skunk turned around and went back across the street into the neighbor's yard where the neighbor was keeping it. The neighbor didn't want a skunk in their backyard. They just did it. Just made its home in my neighbor's backyard. Skunk. But anyway, I digress. I really loved Diana, and I burnt a candle for her, and I really liked Elton John's version of Candle in the Wind, even though I thought that he wrote it originally for Marilyn Monroe, and I thought that it was wrong of him to apply it to Princess Diana instead, but he decided to do that, so that's a piece of history now. It's history now, and at Princess Diana's funeral, they played Purcell's Requiem. And I'm a fan of Purcell. I admit it. I like Purcell, and he's classic music. And I kind of liked it that they played Purcell's Requiem at Diana's funeral. That was kind of nice. But anyway, they didn't play anything like that at Queen Elizabeth's funeral. But that there's no accounting for taste, right? It was still good music, very moving, and Prince Charles, I should say King Charles, he didn't treat Diana good, and he let her down, and now he's taking Camilla as his queen, and on top of all of that, he made those remarks about Meghan Markle's child. He wanted to know what color the child's skin would be. He was curious. And they said that was so racist. That she couldn't believe that he was saying this about her child. And, you know, bad boys gonna be bad boys, right? King Charles said that. So he probably is going to regret it, knowing that his son's wife is a black woman, and there's sort of an unspoken rule in America, and that is that regardless of skin color, black is black. So even a person who's mixed race, if they have black inheritance, then they're considered black. But not all, because like some people after a couple of generations of whiteness, they pass for white, and they maybe have some black blood, but they look white, so they considered white. But not fun to talk about, not considered couth or nice to talk about, but you should know, in case you're from another part of the world and aren't aware. You should know what the rules of decorum are in America. And so that's the thing. Meghan Markle, she's black, even though she looks kind of white. She looks kind of white, not quite, but kind of white. She looks like she had a tan. She just went down south and had a tan, and she passes for white. But Meghan Markle passes for white, but she's considered black here in America. And so, because she's considered black here in America, we consider her children either, they both look white. They both look white, and so they probably are going to pass for white. But Meghan Markle's considered a black woman, and who knows what she considers her children. I don't know. But discussing skin color is it's considered so gauche, and it's considered in bad taste, but it's something everyone thinks about and everyone talks about in private. So why not get it out in the open air and admit that there's such a thing as skin color, and that people care about skin color? Because black is a powerful identity, and if you're black, you belong to a group that's historically marginalized, but also very united and powerful, and take care of their own, And so, except for these shooters, these random shooters, oh boy, there's so many random shootings going on now, and black people are more likely than not the targets, and black people are more likely than not the shooters. So there's a lot of shootings going on, but despite the shootings, black people are tight. They're pretty united and create a united front that they hold on to. So it is kind of important what a person's identity is. And if a person's identity is white, then they're not going to pass for black, and they're not going to be part of that historically marginalized but very powerful group. And so that matters in a person's life. So maybe King Charles's query had some validity to it, but it certainly incensed Meghan Markle. She was crushed. She was totally crushed that he would ask that. And but you know, if you put it, it may have been because of the source, because you know it's King Charles and he doesn't have a lot of experience with black folk, that he shouldn't be asking something like that. But regardless of whether he has experience or not, it may be a valid question. It may be a question with repercussions and for Meghan Markle's children in the future, that it may matter. It may matter a lot for their lives, whether they are considered black or not. Because if they're not considered black, people will people will identify them as white, and they won't belong to that group. And so they'll belong to another group. So yeah, but King Charles asked that question, and whether you consider it racist or not is up to you. I'm going to leave it up to you guys to decide whether it's racist or not, because it offended Meghan Markle, but maybe she's easily offended by just about anything. She is easily offended, I think. And whether Prince Harry should have talked about Prince William beating him up, that's another story. That's another story altogether, Prince William and Prince Harry. Because Prince William will someday be the king, and he's beating up Prince Harry, you know. Oh boy, what a nightmare for the royal family. Harry wrote a book about them. But is the monarchy still valid nowadays? I think it is. It's a slice of history, and people should not forget their history. And so, if the royal family helps keep history alive for the next generation, then yes, the royals are relevant. But if the role of the royal family degenerates any further, it won't be valid for the next generation at all. So, royals have a responsibility to keep history alive if they're going to survive as an institution. Because they obviously don't rule anymore. They don't rule. They reign, but they don't rule. Or they rule, but they don't reign. It's the same thing, actually. Sort of. But they don't rule. They don't rule. So, long live King Charles. Oh, and I wanted to get to the topic of the false flag that Russia staged. They had a drone flying over the Kremlin. It flew right up to the dome of the Kremlin, and then it blew up, and it blew up the flag of Russia. The flag of Russia was in flames, and the flames dripped down. And then they were claiming that this drone was intended to target Putin. That Putin was the target of the drone, and that they were trying to kill him with this drone that exploded over the Kremlin, and so they are going to retaliate against the U.S. and Ukraine, whom they're blaming for the drone. Well, you know it's a false flag because it wasn't anywhere near where Putin was. Wasn't anywhere near. It was the top of a dome. It was the top of a dome. There wasn't enough explosives to explode the whole building. It would just set the flag on fire. And while patriotic Russians may quail at the sight of their flag burning, they should realize that wasn't intended to target Putin at all, because if it were targeting Putin, it wouldn't have been anywhere near where it was when it exploded. And so this is a total fail as far as the false flag goes. It wasn't successful in convincing people that Putin was in any danger at all. And it was a failure of misjudging people, misjudging their capacity for wisdom and knowledge. And so I don't see any reason to believe it, and I don't think they should consider retaliating against the U.S. and the Ukraine for this false flag. They're just trying to escalate the war. They're trying desperately to find some way they can escalate the war. And if staging a false flag on their own soil is going to do the trick, then they will do that. But Putin wasn't in any danger at all from this drone. And so I rate this false flag a total fail. And Russia should be ashamed that they did something so ridiculous. They make themselves look foolish with this sort of false flag. And they did the same thing during the time of Stalin, where they staged a fake explosion or detonated a bomb somewhere, and then claimed that Stalin was in danger, and then they sent the unfortunate targets of his false flag to the Gulag. And so the targets were any dissenters or any patriots of Russia that disagreed with Stalin and disagreed with communism. They got sent to the Gulag, and the excuse were these false flags. So Putin's just taking a play from Stalin's rule book. So how is Putin any different than Stalin? Especially with this bloody war going on. Oh my gosh. It's dragged on and on and on, and there's more explosions every day. He kills more and more civilians every day. I just think he wants to exterminate the Ukrainian people. But if you don't think that elites are behind this war in Ukraine, think again. Because elites are behind this war in Ukraine, and they sustain it, keep it going. They fund both sides. They fund both sides to keep the war going. And yeah, it's a newsworthy item, but it's sad. It's really sad. And any way we could end this war would be genuinely. See, even if Ukraine surrendered, Putin would keep up the bombing because that's what the elites want, and then Ukraine would be sent home the message that Putin doesn't want peace. All he wants is war, and that he wants to exterminate the Ukrainian people. He does. He wants to exterminate them. He wants to wipe the Ukrainians off the face of this earth so he can populate Ukraine with Russians. That's how it seems, at any rate, the way things are headed. And so if he's that kind of a madman that would round up the Ukrainian people and kill them wholesale slaughter, it's kind of like the Holocaust, And so Putin has to pretend that he cares about Ukrainians while he's killing them. And it must be the elites that are behind this, because why would this war still be going unless it were the playbook of the elites? So don't let the elites get to you. make a pledge now that you won't be scared or flustered or shattered by the elites or their mischievous doings. They're worse than mischievous, obviously. But promise yourself that you won't be influenced by them, and you won't be dismayed by them, and that won't affect your life if you have anything to say about it. I'm Sarah Jane Alpha signing off. Have a terrific week, guys, and if you decide to stay up for the coronation, I think it's at 4 a.m.